Hi, welcome to flexiWAN Academy. Today's lesson is deploying flexiWAN on public clouds. flexiWAN can be deployed on bare metal, VM, or in the cloud. Cloud deployments can be great for production and also for immediate POCs, a proof of concepts, or testing purposes when hardware is not ready. So today we'll cover how to deploy flexiWAN on public clouds, and let's get started. Let's go first through the lesson agenda, which should be just pretty straightforward. We'll tackle a few questions first. Why to deploy flexiWAN on cloud? We'll go through our supported cloud providers, and then we'll deploy flexiWAN on a few cloud providers. So let's get started. I'll minimize this window and let me just check if I'm unmuted. Yes, I am. So basically, first of all, I wanted to talk a little bit about the reasons of why do we want to deploy flexiWAN on cloud. So as said previously, we support multiple platforms from both bare metal to virtualization and also clouds. One of the best ways to try out flexiWAN and the fastest ways to try out flexiWAN is to simply just use one of the popular cloud providers and that we support, and then just deploy flexiWAN in just a few minutes there. And this is the best and the fastest way to do it, and it's also most affordable one. One of the main reasons, so why to deploy flexiWAN on cloud is that it's perfect for POC, for proof of concept. All you need is just an account with one of the supported providers, which we'll go through, and then you can, in a few minutes, deploy flexiWAN. And that's really an emphasis. It's something worth emphasizing. Deployment, it's really 5 to 10 minutes. So you can try out full functionality in just 5 to 10 minutes, even if you do not have any hardware. So when we come to hardware now, to the hardware point, today, with all the worldwide issues for the past year or two, there has been gradually larger and larger shortages of chips and manufacturing equipment, which of course affected also many hardware vendors. So today you may find that it's even harder to get POC rolling because you're missing hardware, and in order to somehow bypass that, at least for the POC phase, we recommend trying out these public clouds. Of course, just to point out, all of these vendors, all of these cloud providers that we're going to cover today are fully production ready. So we use them in production as well, not just for POCs, but it's a very good way to try out flexiWAN, a very affordable way to try out flexiWAN without some larger investment in hardware. Since I'm mentioning hardware, I would like to point out that we also have many hardware partners, and we have two models, certified by flexiWAN and self-certified models. Basically, the idea is that all the hardware that's certified by us is tested by us, and we develop on it. And you can see many of the vendors here that we have added as and certified their hardware. And we strongly suggest that you at least try out try to contact these vendors. We can also put you in touch in case you would like to do a physical POC. Yeah, for the purpose of this academy today, lesson today, we're focusing on cloud providers. And once you complete the cloud provider evaluation, then we can put you in touch with these either certified or self-certified vendors to try to get the hardware to you as fast as possible. Moving forward. So I think we covered the benefits. So the benefits for deploying on cloud are straightforward, pretty much perfect for POC, perfect for fast deployment, and very affordable because hardware is hard to find today. So let's go over the supported cloud providers today. So our documentation pages here is constantly updated, and we try to document as much as we can. And here under the guides, we have provided several guides for deploying on cloud. Of course, the fastest way to deploy flexiWAN in a very automated way is using Amazon Web Services. But we also support Oracle Cloud Infrastructure, Headstack Cloud, and DigitalOcean. There may be others that work fine, but we just haven't documented them. If you're using some vendor that is not documented, let us know and we can add it. So yeah, out of all of these cloud providers, we will today focus on Amazon and then later on Headstack Cloud. These two are the fastest providers. Actually, with these two providers, we can deploy very fast. Not to say that it's not easy for Oracle or DigitalOcean, but there's just a little more clicking involved. And for this license, I wanted to cover just these two. So, but there's nothing wrong to choose Oracle or DigitalOcean. Of course, pricing between all of these vendors is different. Yeah, this is why we're starting with Amazon EC2 installation. So here we have the document, and what I would strongly suggest is that everybody goes through it. The idea is that we are going to prepare a Linux machine. Actually, we have it ready already, which needs to be running off on either Ubuntu 18.04 or later. And through it, we are going to deploy flexiWAN. So there's a first caveat here to point out. We are not going to deploy we are not going to deploy flexiWAN on this machine. We're just going to use this Linux machine to run Ansible environment on it and to just deploy, to use a script to deploy flexiWAN. So we are actually deploying flexiWAN on Amazon cloud. And so this machine here is, just for the purpose of, to get deployment started. But what I wanted to point out, these commands here are perfectly applicable to other operating systems. We didn't cover every single operating system, but we do have in a nutshell, you can use basically all of these commands, and it should work fine on other operating systems as long as Ansible can work. And anybody with Ansible scripting knowledge should get it started. Should be able to deploy flexiWAN very fast. So basically, once we prepare the machine, we're going to move to the installation part, which consists basically of downloading our script, unzipping it, and exporting the access keys from Amazon, access and security secret key, and then running the script to deploy. And here we have a command actually for Ansible playbook command that will just deploy flexiWAN according to these configuration settings. Basically, but we'll just use the default one, region East, US East, and we'll use Ohio for this Ohio stack for the purpose of this academy lesson. But all of this is customizable, and I'll talk about this later. So moving forward, let's first prepare the machine. I'm not going to follow these steps. I have my own steps here. Let me see here if we are ready. Yes, so we are now connected to a Linux device that we are going to use for deploying flexiWAN on Amazon. So what I would suggest strongly is that you first navigate to your Amazon account and that you save somewhere Amazon AWS access key and also secret access key, because we will need them to actually connect to cloud and deploy flexiWAN. So first thing that you want to do is you want to install a few commands. You want to run a few commands which will prepare the device for Ansible, and also we are going to install Python 3 pip, which will also install a few more tools that we use which our script uses to deploy. So first command, we'll just add the software properties common. It should probably be installed. Then we'll add Ansible repository. You need to confirm. Finally, after this is done, we're going to just run apt update, although I think it's already doing that, but doesn't matter. Let's try to just to be sure. Next step is to install Python 3 pip. And I'm doing this fast because most people will not watch, and we'll of course provide links and all the commands in the video description and links to our also documentation pages. So now we're installing Python 3 pip and 2 more commands left. Also, this is all real time, so it's we'll wait a little bit until everything is installed. But anyway, it's pretty, I wanted to show the whole procedure, basically to have it on video in case you have some issues or not. So done, 2 more commands left. Let's now install, let's now use the pip3, which we just previously installed, to install Boto3. And after that, 1 more command left, which is to install the actual, to install Ansible. Okay, so now we're installing it, and to explain now what we did, we prepared the device, we installed the prerequisites for our script. And the next step will be to actually go and after this installation completes, to create a Ansible folder, fetch our script, unzip it, add our access keys, and from there on, we are going to simply deploy flexiWAN on Amazon. And let's wait for a few moments. Also, while this is installing, so we're now prepared, just to point out, we are talking about Amazon. The next after this, after we get this machine working, we are going to show you how to deploy it on Headstack Cloud. Okay, so this is now done. So the prerequisites are ready. So let's do let's create a folder Ansible. So then let's get there and let's fetch wget our script from our site. It's already, so let's unzip it, and finally let's go to this folder. So here you can see that we have this script is that we have basically, you know, the playbook and everything, the configuration, it's already. So the next step is to actually export the AWS access keys and secret key. So these keys allow you to basically authenticate on Amazon infrastructure using the command line and to deploy instances there. Because these should be confidential. I'm going to move the window just for a second and run the export commands, these 2 export commands with my own keys. And next, we can move it back. So now now that that's done, we are going to go through the command which runs the playbook, hopefully successfully, unless I didn't forget something. So let's talk a little bit about the script that we're going to create, that's going to create your AWS FlexiEdge device. So these are this script is just, you know, a single one-liner that you know, chooses everything. But here we added the description for both, you know, for all the you know, sections of the commands. So you can choose basically region, VPC name, CIDR block, CIDR LAN, IP, basically setting all the networking information, and you pretty much keep everything as default if this is just a testing for testing purposes. And if you want to keep this device in the FlexiEdge device in Ohio, basically the only thing that you need to actually pay attention to is the token, because right now this token does not. We just added, you know, how it's not a real token. This is where you actually take the token, insert the token. So what I suggest, you just copy paste this to another file, insert the token. So the token can be actually found here under our FlexiManage account. And I already created the token for AWS and copied it in a separate file. So the next step is just simply to run this script and hope that it will, that I didn't forget anything and that it will work. So let's give it a shot. I'm going to paste this script. Actually, not script, sorry, to paste this command, which has the token, and we can see that everything else is left by default. And I'm going to press enter. So now the playbook is starting. You can ignore this deprecation warning. For now, it works. We do intend to update the script a little bit soon, but for now, it works, hopefully. Yeah, so now you can see actually we output everything that's going on in the background. And just so you know, because I created a few times for the testing purposes before this video, you may, if you hit any, if you already use this script, you may have to delete some AWS entities first in order to run it again, to reuse all the key, to reuse all the IPs and security groups and so on. So now it's creating the SD-WAN router. Okay, so one important thing to point out that I missed to mention actually in the beginning is always make sure to use our script to deploy flexiWAN. This is because we've had a few cases where people deploy manually Ubuntu 18.04 on Amazon, and then they would try to install flexiWAN, and it didn't work. It didn't recognize the interfaces. So this script actually prepares the AWS AMI instance and correct hardware profile. And this is the only way that we support you, the only supported way to deploy flexiWAN on cloud, where all the interfaces will be visible. So yeah, this is an important note, that always use this script to deploy on flexiWAN. And of course, you can customize this script. And if you find something that doesn't work, let us know. But basically, this script can be customized, and they can deploy on various regions and so on. So now it takes a little bit to deploy cloud. Amazon Cloud is very fast, but it takes a few minutes just to simply deploy, to complete the configuration. And once that is done, it will let us know if it found errors or not. Hopefully not. If it finds errors, that means that I didn't delete something from my previous test run. So yeah, it's not script's fault, but let's see. So yeah, let's wait a little bit. And of course, just to point out, the script actually does everything for you instead of having to do it manually. On Headstack, we'll do things manually, but it's still pretty fast, probably even equally fast. But like for the very fast deployment, we really strongly recommend Amazon to deploy on Amazon. And yeah, in the script, we also set the host name according to the command line that you ran. So you can also customize that. Bingo, all good, all green. The device is now ready, and when I click here, and if I refresh, bingo, new device has appeared. And from here, now the usual procedure starts, which is the usual flexiWAN procedure. We first have to approve the device. So you click on it. Let's call it AWS 01 Academy test device, even though it can be Academy production device. And let's click on update. So now if you go here back to the devices, you will see that in a few moments, the device will connect back. We usually take 10 to 15 seconds to complete, registration and everything. Now it's connected, synced. And now we can actually proceed to approving the final configuration of the interfaces actually after we approved it. And from here, we're good to go. So we're going to assign WAN, assign LAN, and please notice that this networking information is based on the string that we added. So this all can be customizable. And as far as I'm concerned, that's it. We can update device. An important note also before I run this device. Here, because this is flexiWAN is installed, but you can also SSH this device very simply by just copying this IP. You can SSH to this device, and if you do simply like this, SSH IO. And let's also paste it like here. And bingo, you're now SSH'd here to this device. So this just tells you, just if you need SSH access or some troubleshooting access, you can also SSH to this instance. Important note: if you now we're going to run the device. When you run the device, flexiWAN takes over the Linux networking, Linux networking, and SSH stops working. This is one of the common questions that we have. Hey, I started a flexiWAN instance, but I cannot connect to it. That's right, because you need to add a firewall rule to actually connect to it, because we have a firewall. So you just need to add this, and then you will be able to SSH to it. And yeah, That's it. Now this device should be running, it's syncing now, but in a nutshell, that's it. This is it. We deployed flexiWAN on Amazon. And as you can see, I've been talking for, maybe we took about 10 minutes. And this is just mostly because we waited for the script to execute. You may have faster deployment if you're closer to Ohio. I don't know, Amazon is pretty fast. But yeah, AWS is ready. And that's how it works. So to summarize, actually just to point out, check out our documentation pages for the Amazon. Shares a neat little diagram about how everything works. And you can also use this. One of the production ideas is, if you have already Amazon resources, you can use your flexiWAN, you can use FlexiEdge to be in front of them and to connect you to the other resources on other clouds or private clouds somewhere locally or to a data center. One of the ideas why you can use flexiWAN. But the purpose of this Academy lesson is just to show how fast it is to deploy flexiWAN on Amazon. You have no, but you can use it for POCs, for testing purposes, or for full production purposes. Also, although not too relevant in this case, you can also use, you don't even need flexiWAN instance on the cloud if you want to. If you have resources there, you can connect using site-to-site, Amazon site-to-site to our flexiWAN peering function, which we have covered in, I believe, previous lessons, if I remember correctly, but if not, we'll cover it. Okay, so yeah, moving forward, Amazon is done. Next step, Headstack Cloud. So Headstack is also, I think, originally European cloud provider, very fast and also very affordable. Oh yeah, I forgot to mention. So here, this script, we picked an instance on Amazon. We pointed out which instance, which type we want to use. M5 large instance. This is the one that we recommend running for Amazon. Yeah, so sorry, I forgot to mention that. So moving forward, Headstack Cloud. Headstack Cloud is a little bit of a manual installation, but nevertheless, it's pretty fast, maybe even equally fast as Amazon. Of course, Headstack also has their own API, and we've personally used it for testing, and you can script it to deploy 1 or 10 instances the same way. But now I'll just go through the installation steps. Basically, the way it works is you need to have an account on FlexiManage, you need to have an account on Headstack Cloud, and then we'll just go through the steps to deploy on Headstack. One important thing is that once you deploy the instance, you have to actually connect there to the VPS and prepare it. I'll explain about that a little, but that's the only caveat here that we have, and that's it. So let's get started. Basically, let's first navigate to the Headstack console, Cloud console, and let's add a new server. One of the reasons why we often recommend for testing and POCs, although you can also use it for productions, to use Headstack is because they're very affordable, which you will see now, and still very fast. So we're going to create a new server. And they don't, of course, have so many zones like the Amazon cloud, but there may be enough. This may be enough for for testing purposes or POC, definitely for POCs at least. So let's use the first location, and here under Ubuntu, let's pick 1804 Ubuntu. And just so you know, if there's a question why are you using this very old Ubuntu, it's not actually that old. It's still supported. It's there, and it's a long-term service release. So we are working on upgrading to the latest one, but we're taking our time because it's still supported, and we would rather spend time on other resources, on other features for FlexiWAN for the time being. So yeah, Ubuntu, we picked Ubuntu, keep the type to be the standard. We don't need a dedicated one. And now, because you notice the difference between Amazon deployment, you have to configure the hardware. So you can actually check all the system requirements here that FlexiWAN has, which are pretty straightforward: 2 CPU cores, 4 gigs of RAM, and 16 or 20 gigabytes of disk size. Of course, you need 2 network adapters, and that's it. So we need to match our requirements here. So this means that we cannot use these the cheapest two first cheapest instances. Instead, we need to use CX21 instance, which is again very affordable, especially if this is just a POC. You don't even have to use it for a month. You'll just pay as you go. And next, we don't need to create a volume. Instead, we want to create a network. And for this network, let's, network one, you can call it, flexiWAN, HZ, LAN. And I usually don't like to complicate, so I'll just use it like /24. And we're, by the way, creating the LAN network here. So this is LAN network. And you don't need firewalls because flexiWAN is your firewall. And you can call it, flexiWAN HZ01. That's it. Create and buy. Hopefully, I hope that, of course, you can add your SSH key, but for the purpose of this testing, we'll just do it like this. We'll do it live. Once you create an instance, you will actually receive an email from Headstack, and I've just received, which will actually tell you that a new instance is created, and you will get your SSH access. And this is happening on another window, so I'm not going to go there. Instead, I'm just going to use this device to SSH to my, and I have to paste the password, a huge password that is sent. And okay. Change. That's it. Now we have installed, deployed VPS. So that's the first section is ready. Now the Headstack VPS with Ubuntu 18.04 is ready and installed, and we now have to prepare it for flexiWAN operation. So to do that, let me just go back a little bit here to point out. So we have completed this part, deploying a VPS, and now we're going to the part which is where we connect and then prepare the VPS for flexiWAN, and then later add repository, install flexiWAN in the part. So the preparing VPS for flexiWAN section is very important in the Headstack, for Headstack. This is because this Ubuntu by default does not use a net plan, which we use for managing our network interfaces. So if I was to do ifconfig, you can see that we have two network connections. We have ETH0 and two network interfaces, ETH0 and ENS10. And now we go to cd etc net plan, and we will see that there is a cloud init file, but it's not really configured because by default Headstack just doesn't use net plan, which is not a big deal. Once you install flexiWAN, it will switch to it. But it's important to change this default file, because this is file they just automatically generate to mimic this primary interface. You do not need to put the LAN interface unless you want to, but because once flexiWAN starts, it will automatically insert the LAN interface as well. So all we need to do is actually change this interface name to ETH0 to reflect the interface here, and you can do also net plan apply. And there is no net plan here. Yeah, of course, I just said that there's no net plan, and this will not work. But once you install flexiWAN will do net plan apply, and it will actually be able to use it. So that's it. Now we have prepared this instance. So let's move to the next step. We need to install flexiWAN. So to install flexiWAN, there are two commands that you need to run. Three, actually, if you need to add a token. One is actually to add the repository, our software repository, to this Linux machine, which we are doing right now. So next step is either to copy paste this command or just say install flexiWAN and confirm with yes. And this will install all the prerequisites and an actual flexiWAN router, software. So now that it's completing the installation, we are going to just consider this device as a brand new flexiWAN installation, and we need to complete the installation by running the system checker. Notice that all of this is automatically ran on the Amazon deployment, so this is more manual. So we're going to run system checker, and you can just use the number 2 to configure system silently, and you can also then check the system configuration. Everything is done. You can quit using all the parameters. So from here, you can connect to this device via FlexiEdge UI, or you complete the installation by just adding a token. The same thing can be done either FlexiEdge UI or just add the token. And honestly, it's a lot faster just to do this. Nano this command, and let's go to flexiWAN Flexi Manage, and let's create a new token called Headstack. We recommend for security purposes to always separate at least different clouds using different tokens. So now I'm going to paste this token, and because I like to watch the status of the device, let's see if it's already there. It's waiting for approval. So if I refresh, you can see here that flexiWAN device is now ready for registration. And then we'll complete the registration just like we did with AWS. Instance, and we're going to approve it. And this time we don't need to even click approve and wait. We can just go do this. And one small caveat here, I think pretty much Amazon does that as well. They manage both WAN and LAN interfaces. And so this means that you have a DHCP on WAN, and the LAN IP is also added by their own DHCP server on Headstack. That's it. I clicked to start to update device, and in a few moments, and you can see actually in the background all the diagnostic information that we sent, that the device will be will complete the registration. And here we go. It's not running, and that's it. So one of the important notes, as I said on Amazon, if you would like to SSH to this device, after rerouter starts, you need to actually add this. You need to add a firewall rule which will allow you to SSH to it. Same goes to the FlexiEdge UI. One small note: these instances use by default 22, because this is a fully blown Linux. You are welcome to, free to connect to it, change the ports, or have a more restrictive SSHD configuration. So with that, we're starting the Headstack VPS, and in a few moments it should start. It's really fast actually in both Amazon and Headstack. The device usually disconnects for a brief moment from UI, but this is because we are actually switching from the Linux networking stack to VPP, which we use. And voila, now it's connected and running on both Amazon and Headstack. And for the sake of this demo, we have a few other devices there. So, but we don't have any tunnels. So let's see what happens. Let's try to connect these two sites, and let's just check. Let's just see how fast. I don't know, maybe it was too fast even. In 3 clicks, I was able to connect these two sites using FlexiWAN, and it's absolutely the same approach between 2 devices or between 200 or 2,000 devices. Of course, if you have 2,000 devices, you can use API for faster tunnel connectivity. But yeah, now we added the tunnel between them, and here on the network, we can actually see that this is already established. Connectivity is already established between Ohio and Headstack. So yeah, that's it. Let's summarize what we did today. We went through 2 cloud provider installations. We installed on Amazon EC2. We went through preparing the device which will be used for deploying FlexiEdge on Amazon. It's not, so just to point out again, you're not installing FlexiWAN on this device. You just need to use this device to deploy, to run a Ansible script, and to actually deploy it. All of this is just, how to do it on Linux, Ubuntu 18.04. If you can adapt this to your operating system, it should work fine, as long as you use our script to actually use it to deploy it. And the script can also, and the command can be customizable to choose your networking information, to set your custom networking information, set custom token. Actually, you need to set your token, but set custom instance location. The script by default, the command by default deploys in Ohio. So that's for Amazon. And for Headstack Cloud, we basically went through a manual installation on Headstack Cloud, but which was really fast as well. All it took was just to configure, to deploy the new VPS. Then we, after deploying the new VPS, we prepared it. Then the small net plan caveat that you need to pay attention to, and then finally just do the regular FlexiWAN installation which is install add our repository and install flexiWAN and add the token, and then from there we completed from the FlexiManage section. So yeah, with that, I think we're good to go. We covered how to basically why deploy flexiWAN on cloud. We mentioned supported cloud providers, and we finally shown how to actually do it. So yeah, thank you for attending this lesson. Stay put and tuned for more lessons coming out very soon. Thanks.